Would you delay the bid, Premier, if they suggested to you they would help you with transmission? Because obviously, even if they say, yes, we can help, you don't have capacity to go to the magnitude that you want to straight out of the gates.
I mean, there's a in the ideal timeline for sure. There's clarity on the transmission and the federal government's role in that, and then the bids. But we're working with them on that.
When do you expect to issue the call for bids? It was supposed to be this year.
Yeah, we still hope it's in the fall. Yeah.
Premier, I know that you don't get directly involved with contract negotiations typically, but I do want to ask you, since you're here and the NSGEU has made an issue out of this and directed it towards you, the government's decision to want to talk about the job protection clause that civil servants have as part of that bargaining, is that in any way an indication that your government is considering some type of either cuts to the civil service or a reorganization?
No, it's just like the government needs to be able to manage the province and make sure that the resources of the province, particularly in terms of people providing services, we have great people working for the province, they're dedicated public servants, but make sure that we can focus on the areas of needs of Nova Scotians at that moment. So it's just making sure that the government of today, it happens to be us right now, but it won't always be, can manage the province.
And the other thing that the union has raised is this situation that NSCC has gone through. As you know, they've contracted out some jobs that used to be in-house for food or kitchen workers. Do you have any concerns about how NSCC went about that, or are you content that they're doing what they need to do to take care of their bottom line?
It wasn't something I was involved in or really aware of, and I don't have any major thoughts on it.
Sorry.
It's okay.
When we're looking at the results of HappyPad, the 60 leases that were signed as a part of the $1.35 million contract over 2 years, are you satisfied with those results? Do you think that was a good use of taxpayer money?
I think when we came in, there was significant needs in housing and still are. We've made incredible investments in housing. We've made pretty significant progress. I think when you compare the progress in Nova Scotia nationally, I think we would stand up pretty good. So we've been very focused. We've tried a number of things. HappyPad was one thing we tried. Do I wish the results were better? Of course I do. But we tried it, and the existence of HappyPad connected some people with housing. There are probably people who could have been homeless if not for HappyPad. So do I wish there were more people connected? Of course I do. But we tried it, and it worked for some people, and we're done with it now.
Absolutely, and as you mentioned, it did work for some people. As an accountant, looking at that value per lease, that $22,000 or more per lease, is that a good use of taxpayer money?
To the people that got a lease, I'd say it is.
And with that, given the NDP calls today for reinstating a dedicated housing department, dedicated housing minister, what do you say to that?
There's a housing minister in this province, and we came up with a housing plan, the first one that the province has had. We had 51,000, committed starts. It's way over what was projected. So we're making good results. I think the minister's doing a fantastic job.
Premier, you mentioned a couple weeks ago to one of my colleagues that you're thinking about strong mayor powers for Halifax. You're thinking about legislation. What problem are you trying to fix?
I think everyone in HRM, anyone who travels to HRM, is concerned about traffic at the moment, as an example. The only people that don't seem to be concerned about the traffic in HRM are the HRM Council. You see this decision on Morris Street, they're going to do another one-way street in Halifax. They're going to take an important street, which is important for obviously the movement of people. For emergency, it's a route to hospitals, it's a route to the port, it's a really important street. And so I think people who live in Halifax and people who are watching are kind of just scratching their heads and saying, why would this be the time to take that street and make it into a one-way street and take half of it for bicycles? So I think those are the types of things that give the ordinary people on the street pause for thought, and they certainly give me pause for thought. So we're always looking for ways that we can make sure that governments are best serving the citizens. And there's a serious disconnect right now between serving the citizens of Halifax and the decisions that council is making.
Is the government going to use Bill 24 to overrule that?
We're looking at it, considering it.
How do you balance, Premier, how do you ensure that the province is not overstepping its boundaries and interfering with another level of government's business to go about how it operates? You have in the past expressed concern when other levels of government have commented on how you all do business. So how do you strike that balance?
I think, obviously, I have ongoing discussions with the federal government all the time. And we don't always agree on things, but we always try to put the citizen at the center. Everything we do is about people. We're not perfect. We don't get everything right, but we're always focused on what's best for Nova Scotians. And I think, when you look at some of the decisions that council seems to be making, they don't seem to be focused on citizens. They seem to be focused on something else. I don't know what that is. So we'll have discussions as to how, what tools are available to give to the municipality to manage itself for the citizens.
If you believe that council is not representing citizens, why even have a council?
Well, it's, there's an opportunity for the council to be representing the citizens, and there's opportunities for elected people to do what's right for the citizens. So just some of the decisions, I think, give Haligonians pause for thought, and I spend a lot of time in this city, and it certainly gives me pause for thought too.
But how do you measure whether this is a case of council is disregarding the will of the people who elected them versus?
I'm not trying to.
No, I'm not suggesting you are, but what I'm saying is when you weigh the option of giving pretty sweeping powers to one person in a system that's not set up to work that way, that's not how municipal government in this province is set up to work, how do you weigh what's going on right now as a council that's not able to get the job done versus a mayor who's unable to build consensus, which really is what the job of a mayor or warden is to build consensus and collaboration around the table?
I think, let's go back to the citizens. So I think the role of mayor is the only role that every citizen votes on. Doesn't matter where you live in the municipality, you actually vote for mayor. The mayor's put forth a platform of things that they want to get done, and people assess that and they vote on it. And then they expect that the mayor can execute. I think people are surprised right now that to learn that the mayor really doesn't have that much power in this system. So I think there's a serious disconnect between the expectations of citizens and the reality of the situation. So we're listening carefully. But I will tell you this: I can't find a whole bunch of Haligonians who said I wish the council would focus more on slowing down traffic and creating more traffic problems, because that seems to be their main focus right now, is how do we slow down traffic? And I don't think that's consistent with what people are looking for right now.
But what you're describing sounds more like a problem with a general public that doesn't understand civics, as opposed.
No,
right,
I don't care about that. I care about delivering results for
People
citizens.
who think that the mayor should have more sway than one vote don't understand how the system works. That's not how.
They don't need
municipal
to. They don't need to.
don't think
They
people
elect
understand how
they
the system
elect
works?
people to make decisions that would be consistent with what they make. And they have an expectation that the people that they elect can make those decisions.
Also elected the councilors, though.
Yeah, in their area, that's right, for sure. But the mayor is the only position that everyone in the city has an opportunity to vote for.
Province have a system like that, the
We
province?
already do. It's called the Premier.
Only 1 in 55 constituencies voted for you. You are the leader of a party, but you have the confidence
I'm the
of
Premier
the
of the
House.
province, and I carry the responsibilities of it.
You're
People expect that.
you have the confidence of the House. The mayor doesn't necessarily appear to have the confidence of that
This is a
House.
discussion that's ongoing. Your opinions have been made very clear. Others have others as well, guys. But I think, no, I think I would just go back to, if you talk to people on the street and said, do you think this is a good time to slow traffic down? Should we do something to create more traffic problems in the city? I don't think that's what they're looking for, but that's what they're getting right now.
That's the concern. Where is the province's, why is the province not stepping up with releasing the JRTA report and talking about what its intentions are for public transit?
Yeah, I think we've been pretty clear. Campaign commitments I made on infrastructure. On public transit, there's lots of stuff on moving people around. Public transit is one way that can happen. But as a matter of fact, there was actually in our platform. There's a discussion on rail and what's possible with rail.
the 10, 15-year down the road thing? What about things
No,
for
no,
buses?
sure,
Bus ferry service?
sure. Well, first off, you made a statement that there's nothing that we haven't done anything on public transit. And I just think that statement is not completely accurate. So I want to correct the record on that. But-
Imminent traffic congestion, rail is not gonna do that.
There's short term, there's medium term, there's long term. I think what happens is when you get too focused on the short term, you get into issues like we're at right now. It would be nice if some of these things would have been dealt with 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So we have an obligation to look to the future. We have an obligation to look to the here and now too, and we're doing that. The JRTA was a new concept we came up with. I think it'll work really good. They're working on a report, and then we'll get that report and we'll action some things. But to your very specific statement, in the campaign, we talked about roads, we talked about public transit, so we can't just wish that away and wish we didn't. We did.
I'm not gonna get bogged down on this.
Can you be specific about how you're looking to exercise Bill 24?
No, the bill exists. We're looking at what's necessary that's in the interest of Nova Scotians.
That
To
you're
that, I know that some on council speculate that it could happen as early as the fall. Is that something you can comment on timeline-wise?
On which one? On the,
On the strengthening of the mayor's power?
we're looking at it. The fall session will have legislation too. We're having discussions about what's in the best interest of Nova Scotians, no matter where they live. So it's an ongoing discussion.
Any issues besides traffic?
Pardon?
Any issues besides traffic?
Sure there is. Healthcare, housing, environment.
Related to the strong mayor.
It just fulfilling the wills of the citizens of the province. That's the only thing I care about.
If you're looking at this for HRM, should every other council in this province expect that if they're not operating the way you see fit, that you may do it for other communities too?
Well, it's like, I don't agree with that statement.
It's not a statement, it's a question.
What's the question?
The question is, if you are looking at this for the HRM, should the other municipalities around this province assume that if the provincial government feels like they're not operating the way they ought to, or in the interest of citizens, that you will afford the same power to mayors in other communities?
I think a logical conclusion would be that we believe, as an elected government, that elected governments, no matter the level of government, should be working for the citizens, and they should have the power to work for the citizens. That's something we're talking about.
Why do you get to be the judge of that as opposed to the people who elect
No, the people.
those councillors?
No, I'm not the judge of it.
If you exercise strong mayor power,
They elect a mayor. A mayor is not appointed by the premier of the province. A mayor is elected by the people of that municipality. The people always have the say.
If I could ask something else before we run out of time. Northern Pulp, there's a date coming up next week in Court in BC. What are you expecting? There's been talk in the past about building a new mill. Is that going to go ahead?
I hope so. There's still discussions happening, for sure. I certainly hope there's a new mill. There's a need for it to support, the forestry sector and certain segments of it, with the pulp market and others. So there's a need for a mill, for sure. The business case is being discussed. The court process is continuing on as well.
has there been an ask of the province for financial support?
Not that I'm aware
Should the environmental racism report be released to the public?
of. The people who run that panel, there's good people on that panel. I know a lot of them personally, and I certainly have great respect for the work that they did. They put a lot of effort into it. They provided a work product to the province. We're using that to formulate public policy. It's having a positive impact. There's a meeting being organized with a number of ministers and the panelists to talk about, just the work product and the ways forward. So I think people should be confident that, people should be confident that the work that was done is respected by the government and it's being used to formulate public policy. And I think that was the goal.
I appreciate that context. The important question here is, do you think that should be public?
We'll have a discussion with the panelists. I think the most important thing is that the work is actually used. That's what's the most important thing. So, and it is being used to formulate public policy, and that shouldn't be lost in all this.
Say we have time for one more question.
The Federal Minister of Energy is in the region, and I was just wondering if there were any projects in particular that you're having conversations about that you want to pass.
So the wind for sure won't surprise the minister. Those are ongoing discussions. There's incredible opportunities for Nova Scotia in energy in general. Obviously, the offshore gas is really important opportunity. The wind is an important opportunity. The thermal energy that's happening, solar, all these opportunities that we have. So there's lots of discussions that are going on with the federal government about Nova Scotia as a contribution to the energy superpower opportunity that Canada has. So we're excited about that. And obviously on the natural resources in general, where there's a number of mine opportunities as well. So there's lots to talk about with that, Minister.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks, everyone.